Today we're going to talk about order of operations, and we want to use these order of operations to simplify expressions. So I want you to grab your calculator, and I want you to put in 4 plus 6 over 7 minus 2. And seriously, I want you to go get your calculator. I want you to see what happens when you put this expression into your calculator and what kind of answer it gives you. So go ahead and pause me if you need to. Go grab your calculator so we can try this. All right, so hopefully you did that. And you'll get what I got, that 4 plus 6 divided by 7 minus 2 on my calculator says 2.857142857. But the question is that right? So let's look at it again. If we just check it ourselves, we can see 4 plus 6 is 10, 7 minus 2 is 5, and we know 10 over 5 is 2. So what happened? We have this difference between what the calculator told us and then what we can see is really the answer. But the calculator only knows that we first wanted to add 4 plus 6 and then divide by 7 minus 2 if we put parentheses around the two sets of operations. So let's try it again. I want you to grab your calculator one more time, and I want you to put parentheses 4 plus 6, close parentheses, and then divide by parentheses 7 minus 2, close the parentheses. This time you should get 2. So what we'll be talking about today is how adding parentheses and using order of operation gives us the correct answer. So we have to say, well, what order should we use? So the order is definitely parentheses first, and then exponents, but we won't talk about exponents today. We're going to save that for later. After we've done parentheses and exponents, we want to do multiplication and division, but as they occur. So it's not multiplication first and then division. It's just multiplication or division as they happen from left to right. And the same thing with addition and subtraction. We're going to attack those as they happen from left to right. A lot of times you write it this way. You hear this PED does, or however you want to say it. I don't say it well, but people will say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? They use those letters to make an acronym, something that you can remember. So the please is P, excuse E, my M, dear D, Aunt A, and Sally S, right? So a way to remember, it's a mnemonic device. If that helps you, then I say definitely use it. So let's go through and work a bunch of examples and see how the order of operations should work. I think you should be writing this down, pause me when you need to, try them out on your own, and then come back and see how I did it. So let's start with the first one. It says 20 minus 15 divided by 5. So my first scan through, I'm looking for parentheses. I don't see them. Of course, there's no exponents because we're not doing that today, but then I see there's a division. So this division says I should first do 15 divided by 5, which is 3. So I'm going to have 20. I kind of held its place. I left the minus sign. 15 divided by 5 was 3. 20 minus 3 is 17. I kept these same numbers and I kept the operations, but I put a set of parentheses in to see how it changes it. So now that I first have parentheses for 20 minus 15, that gives me 5, and 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. So we can see how that order really changed it by throwing that parentheses in. For C, I have 7 times parentheses 2 minus 6 plus 5. So those parentheses say do that first. So hold on to the 7. 2 minus 6 is negative 4, and then plus 5. So you can see I like to do little steps. Little steps help me make sure I'm doing it right. 7 times negative 4 gives me negative 28. And then I'm going to add the 5. Now I have negative 23. So yes, I know you have calculators, and yes, I say you should definitely be checking your work with the calculator, but I think it's important to have like a number sense, like to just be better at numbers. And how to get better at numbers? By doing them. If we always grab our calculator, like it kind of messes it up, and we can already see where the calculator can be wrong if we don't tell it the right thing to do. So I think practicing both ways, if you writing it and then using the calculator, is the best way to really get good at numbers as we start the semester. All right, so let's do another one. I have 100 divided by 4 times 5. So notice here I have both division and multiplication, but remember we're going to attack those left to right. So first I have 100 divided by 4. That's 25. And then I'm going to multiply it by 5 after. But of course, grab your calculator. 25 times 5 is 125. No one's asking you to memorize lots of multiplication. Grab your calculator when you need it. All right, look at B. B says negative 13 plus 8 divided by 2 plus 7. So you think, well, what do I want to do first? definitely I want to do this division. So hold on to the negative 13. 8 divided by 2, I'm going to add 4 and then add 7. Now we can just put these numbers together. Negative 13 and 4 is negative 9. When I add 7, I get negative 2. C says 9 times 3 minus 28 divided by 4. So 9 times 3 happens first, so I'm first going to do the multiplication. That's 27. 28 divided by 4, that's going to happen second, so 28 divided by 4 is 7. Now I can do the subtraction, and I end up with 20. A few more examples. Here I have 4 times 8 plus 6 divided by 3. Right, I'm looking at 4 times 8 first. That's 32, plus 6 divided by 3 is 2. Ready to add those together, and I get 34. 50 divided by 5 times 2. I want to first do 50 divided by 5, which gives me 10, times 2, which gives me 20. In part C, I put in the absolute value because I think it's also good to give you some that you're really not sure how to put into your calculator. So absolute value works like a parenthesis. It's saying do this first before you do all the other stuff. So let's hold on to our 17 minus 3. And then I'm looking at 18 minus 20 in absolute value is the absolute value of negative 2. So let's go back to our 17 minus 3. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2, so let's go ahead and write that in. Now I have 17, negative 3 times 2 is minus 6, 17 minus 6, now I have positive 11. Let's take a look at a couple fractions. We've talked about fractions, that's how we started today. But these are a little different. So notice I have 8 minus 4 times 2. So I have my 8, 4 times 2 is also 8, 6 plus 7 is 13. But what's interesting, in the numerator, which is the top part, 8 minus 8 is 0. 0 over 13 is 0, right? So it's perfectly okay to have 0 in the numerator. So let's just write that down right now. Let's write it maybe a little prettier. Zero over a number is 0. So perfectly okay to have 0 on top and this whatever number on the bottom. Now let's see what I did in part B. In part B I have 12, and then I have 9 minus 9, which is 0. Well, I can't divide by 0. Think about we all go out to eat, right? Or 2 of us go out to eat, right? Or we get coffee or something, and the bill comes to $12, and we all look around and nobody pays it. What happens? Nothing. You can't divide it, right? I couldn't divide a bill of $12 0 ways because then it doesn't get paid. So what we say here is that this is undefined, like we can't do it, can't be done. So if the bill is 0 and try to split it up, good, we all pay nothing. But if the bill is something else and no one steps up and says we'll pay, then we have a problem. So a number over 0 is undefined. This will occur multiple times this semester, so we don't want to forget about this. It's going to stick around. All right. So now that we've talked about 0, let's go back and do a few more, and just these last two that are a little bit bigger. So here I have 8 times negative 2 plus 6 times 12 over 11 plus 2 minus 9. So a lot going on here, but let's just do little pieces at a time. So I can start with 18 times negative 2, that's negative 16. 6 times 12 is 72. And then on the bottom I have the 11, and then 2 minus 9, which is negative 7. So let's just look at the numerator. I have negative 16 plus 72. That gives me 56. In the denominator, I have 11 plus negative 7, which we know is 4. Then I can do 56 divided by 4 to get 14. Right? So we tack it as little pieces instead of trying to do the whole thing at once. Part B, I have 30 times negative 2 times negative 5 divided by negative 10 minus 50. Okay, so let's start with this 30 times negative 2 times negative 5. Remember we talked about 2 negatives makes a positive, so this answer will be positive. I know 2 times 5 is 10, 10 times 30, that's 300 is my first number. And then in parentheses, I have negative 10 minus 50, which is negative 60. So now I have 300 divided by negative 60. We know that's going to be a negative. Positive negative comes to be negative, and it will be negative 5.